There's a LeBron angle to this playoffs that if people have really talked about it, I haven't heard it in like a real way because it doesn't seem conceivable. And yet this is such a weird playoffs that who the hell knows? I was trying to I wanted to walk you through some what ifs in the NBA playoffs. Okay. And the biggest what if for me, what if LeBron wins 3 straight rounds and makes the finals? What happens to our whole sports talk / content universe if LeBron makes one last run a la Brady on the Bucks? I don't think it's going to happen. They're like almost 4-1 underdogs against the Nuggets. I think the Nuggets are going to beat them. But what if? How does it play out?
Does he win these series like cleanly, or are there injuries or weird things
Doesn't matter.
happening?
Does it? Do you remember who Brady beat heading to the Super Bowl? Because I don't. I don't remember any of the playoff games at this point. It was 2-3 years ago. I don't remember who they beat.
Like an aging Drew Brees and Aaron. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like once the years pass, nobody remembers.
So if he makes it, I'll answer your question with a question, because we talked about how unfair the expectations for a 39-year-old LeBron are. Do you think that if he made it all the way to the finals, knocked off the reigning champs, and it's Lakers Celtics, let's say, and he loses against a historically good margin of victory Celtics team, that people would actually hold that against him, that the silver medal would actually be bad for his legacy, even though he would do something absolutely amazing?
I like that. He somehow loses even though something incredible happened. I don't. I think if he made the finals, he would have to go through Denver and the Jokic-Murray combo and a team that people think is built to win multiple titles, a la the Chiefs. He would then have to beat the winner of Phoenix, Minnesota. So either you're beating Durant, Booker, Beal, or you're beating that Minnesota team that feels like a year away. The thing is, I actually like that they got Denver first because you got to play him anyway. Why not try to throw a haymaker at him right away? Denver hasn't played for a week. Who knows? You flip it. Game 6 is in LA. And so Minnesota Phoenix would be second. And then the last series would be, I guess, oh, wait a second. Am I doing this right? Yeah, I'm doing this right. Because then the last series would be OKC, Dallas, and Clippers. One of those 3, whoever is left.
Mm-hmm.
So like we know the Lakers can beat OKC. That's the one team I'm positive they can beat. They have too much size.
Yep.
Clippers, let's say the Clippers somehow beat Dallas, but then what are the odds of Kawhi making it for a month and a half of basketball? Probably slim. So there is a scenario where this could happen. And I do feel like this is his last chance to shift the GOAT debate because everybody's already in their camps. There's really nothing else can happen at this point. People could be like, Michael Jordan's the best player ever, but LeBron had the best career ever. That's kind of where people are going to land.
That's like a nice middle ground, but nobody's mad at.
Nobody's mad at that middle ground. But if he somehow makes the finals and then, I mean, if he won the title, I think that swings the debate. I think it would.
That would swing the debate like a five rings versus 6 rings. You'd be like, well, I'll give it to the guy with 5 just because of the longevity and breadth of his career.
Yeah, 1 ring away. He basically played like 8 more years than Jordan. It just opens up so much content. And it's kind of in play.
Amazing.
It's in play.
Do you really think so?
No, I think Denver's going to win.
I do too. I think they're done immediately. I just think they're cooked. He hasn't won in Denver in 4 years. 4 calendar years is the last game he won in Denver. So if Denver takes care of home court, I don't see a path.
I'm wagering on Denver. I think they're going to win, but I will say Denver, and I know you and I are probably the highest on Denver during the year. Like you were doing your Denver, nobody's beating them in a 7-game series gimmick. I just think they're going to win.
It's a branding opportunity.
I think we're the highest you can be on a team. And yet, last 6 weeks, there's some holes in the boat. There was some execution stuff in the last parts of some games that was atypical for them. They just started losing games they normally won, which was the one thing I always felt like this is the thing they have. They don't, if you let them hang around, they win. They win in the last 4 minutes. That's who they are.
And then all of a sudden they can't inbound the ball.
Yeah. all of a
against the
sudden
Spurs.
Kyrie's hitting 20-foot lefty shots against them. And then, they just lost a couple dumb games, which wasn't typically them. And then the Murray thing too, the fact that he played 59 games. They were clearly like super careful with him as the season went along. And were they being cautious or something more? So those are the things that worry me with the
Yeah,
Nuggets. And then the Lakers piece of it, just like, let's be honest, they get a shitload of calls. They just do. They get more officiating help than anybody in the league because of the style they play, and plus it's LeBron, and he's the guy now who's going
sure.
to get
Yeah.
calls.
Do
So
you
I think
buy
they're
it
a tough
all?
team to play.
Do you buy? I tried to spin the Spurs loss into a positive. Like I used to like, and UConn just won everything this year, but I used to like losing the final game of like the Big East tournament leading into the tournament. Like that's the wake up call they needed. Don't take any team for granted. We can't inbound the ball. The Spurs came all the way back. Let's lock in now. They beat Memphis. And
Yeah.
now I think they want to sweep too. Although the Lakers now kind of, I mean, they are the underdogs, but now the Lakers feel like the little team that could, when it used to be the reverse. Mike Malone used to wear the underdogs. No one believes in us jacket. But now I think Darvin Ham can play that card. So
Oh, they
I'm
could
so
definitely play
confident. I'm
that
so
card.
confident. I'm
Um,
so confident.
what you just laid out is the '07 Pats. I wish they had lost the Monday night game against the Ravens theory.
Yep. Yep.
They just lose that game and the whole season becomes way easier. Instead, it becomes this march to undefeated, which by the time they got to the Super Bowl, the team was running on fumes in a lot of different ways. The Giants took advantage of it. If you're just talking about, I wish that team won the Super Bowl, they're better off losing that Monday night game. I forget,
Yep.
there was 2 plays in the end zone. There was like a pass interference that kept it alive. Then they scored on the next. But like, just they probably should have lost that game, and it would have made everything easier. The one thing with that Spurs game, the Spurs just played really well. Like I felt like Denver was trying. If Murray missed a couple easy shots in the last minute, but they were executing and doing stuff, and just a couple shots didn't go in, and then all of a sudden you have Devontae Graham just in traffic, fleeing a shot off the wrong foot that goes in. So the thing that if you're gonna say this is stupid, the Lakers have no chance. The thing that was shocking to me about that New Orleans game, I think it was the first time I've ever seen LeBron in a must-win game where somebody else was like out athleting him and overpowering him. And now it makes sense because it's year 21 for him.
Yep.
But wasn't it jarring to watch for like an hour there, where it's like, oh my God, like it was like watching Rocky 3, like the first round when Clubber's Rocky's never seen anything like it. He comes back to the corner. He's like, I can't keep him off me. That's what LeBron felt like, as Zion's just like a battering ram. Like when he knocked him backwards on that charge or whatever, and LeBron, I haven't seen him get up like that ever, in a real, where he wasn't like trying to milk it for a call. So there was a little bit of, this guy's, we kind of forget that he's a little older than maybe,
Yeah.
the stats,
The fact that he's 39 and he's going up against, the MVP, who's, I think Joker's going to win the MVP. And we're like, oh, this is a fair fight. Like, not really.
No.
I mean, it should easily be Denver, but he'll keep him in it. He plays so smart, and he plays such like a good, perfect mix of, he's still a great athlete, but he has some real old man basketball moves. Like he did an up and under on Zion. It's just like a move you would do like on your kids in the driveway. Like, you've never seen this. So he's just brilliant out there. So I think he's going to still keep them in it. But I also, all of a sudden the altitude, I love to play the altitude card in Denver too. Once you're going back and forth,
it's a real thing.
Yeah. And they let you know about it. So I still feel very confident. Although you called my prediction a gimmick, I still don't think any team's beating them.
Well, when you tweet the same thing 38 times, I think it becomes a gimmick.
Well, hello. It's, Nike says just do it for 20 years. It's got to work. You got to get in people's heads.
I like this low energy. We're taping this before you do the show. I like right now. I feel like I'm with like Mahomes, just throwing the ball around like an hour before the game. Like,
well, you know what?
You don't want to peak now. You want to peak on live TV. I can feel it.
So I used to do the pod when I was at ESPN. We did the pod, and I would just like have my feet up. There was no video involved, and I was very chill. And then I listened to the last pod we did. I was like in TV mode. which was a little bit
so you reined it
brighter.
back. I like it. So you
I
studied
brought
yourself.
it. I had to watch the tape. I watched the all two of just me and you, and I'm like, oh
Yeah.
wow, you're a little bit too fired up here. Bring it back.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll ramp it up. I got to watch this one. Say
No,
maybe I'm
I
too
like
low
the energy
energy.
now. Don't let, this is
Trying
pod
to
wilds, not TV wilds. There's a what if with Zion, because for an hour he became the Zion we've been waiting for 5 years. There was a two-way game with him. He's rebounding. He was actually like really defending. And it was pretty much the most exciting non-Wemby moment of the season, I think.
Yeah.
And it felt like they were going to win. Now he's hurt. And I just wonder, like, I know everybody talked about this yesterday, but I just wonder, is that like the ultimate microcosm of his career, or should we be enthused? It's like maybe, we gave him so much shit in December for the in-season tournament, which he deserved because he was out of shape and overweight. He just was. It was December. There was no excuse for it. He shed the weight. He got in shape. He really played well down the stretch. Sunday, he got his ass kicked by the Lakers. And then he responds in the playing game with this incredible game. And it was like, this is the guy this is why we were so excited in 2019. Then he gets hurt. And
so
I hope that's not the 30 for 30 where this is like the best moment of the 30 for 30. And then it's like, we go to commercial and come back. And it's like, and then that's when things turned.
So, I mean, glass half full, it's just a hamstring. So it's nothing bad. It's, he'll be able to bounce back from that next year. He played 70 games. The thing that I liked most, besides him just, looking awesome, is that other Lakers game. I think he took 13 shots or 12 shots, and he took 27 the other night. Like, dude, just be the man. Like, it's almost part of him. He just needs someone to like gas him up before every game. Like, hey, by the way, you're fantastic. You're a great player. Take the game over. And then he rose to the occasion. That's what I liked. Besides just, hey, the shots go in, they don't go in. But the fact that he wanted the ball and wanted to take it to the Lakers and outplay everybody is great. So
and really wanted to guard
confident.
LeBron. That part was fun. I love the downhill stuff Zion was doing, and watching LeBron have actual fear. Which, look, if it was 2013 LeBron, it's different. I don't think he's backpedaling as Zion's coming at him. But it was still just, we spend so much time with these guys. I get older. We watched it happen to Brady, where there were just some moments in some of those later year Brady games when he was just dumping the ball to get rid of it because he didn't want to get hit. You hit a different point in your career. But it was weird to see LeBron as the athlete. I mean, the only other person I think in the last 10 years who could have probably overpowered him was Giannis, but they never really played a big game against each other, So, they had like ABC games, shit like that, but not like real stakes like what we had the other night. So to me, it was like, wow. It almost made me appreciate the LeBron era more because it was like, wow, I took for granted that he was always the most overpowering person in any game, especially as he got older and he would just start kind of barreling to the basket whenever he wanted, which is a skill he still has this year. But it was just weird to see him backpedaling.
They're drafted 16 years apart. But they felt like peers in a way. I mean, there's also the idea that LeBron, he said some very complimentary things about Zion after the game, but part of me does think that he's still like, he's not giving the torch to anybody. And it felt like, maybe Zion will take the torch from LeBron. That was a conversation that I still think the media has moved on from, but maybe he keeps in his sort of inspiration file or grudge file that he has to open up every one. LeBron's grudge file every once in a while, he has to be like, Deshaun Stevenson, no. And he just keeps on going. He's like, oh, yeah, Zion will take the league over from LeBron.
Hold on, it's under W.
I thought it was Z's. I know it's back here somewhere.
I forgot I put last names. I'm waiting for LeBron to just embrace Wemby as like the next guy. I think that's the best move for him because it can't really happen until after LeBron's out of basketball, basically, when Wemby will hit the things. He can say he called it when it happened. And then if Wemby gets hurt, which is possible because 7'5", then he can say, well, what happened? I just think there's no losses for LeBron, just kind of anointing him as the next guy. Plus it pisses off everybody else. It's the good move.
I like that. I'll buy that. I also like LeBron going somewhere else after this year. Maybe not after this year, but eventually. Do you think he's retiring in a Lakers jersey?
I think everything's in play. Like if they get their asses kicked by Denver,
Yep.
in a weird way, we spend so much time talking about the Lakers, but yet there's stuff with this series that is, there's so many good storylines with round one. And this series has some like really juicy subplots, including what happens if they just get their asses kicked.
Thank you. I tried to, behind the curtain. I pitched this story today in the show and everybody got mad at me because, oh, wow. I'm like, hey, do we want to do what happens if this goes south for the Lakers? What it means for LeBron is like, no, we can't go past the series wilds. I'm like, okay, it would be good. And we all know what's going to happen.
There is a scenario where they get their asses kicked. Let's say Dallas makes the Western Finals. Maybe Dallas makes the finals. Who knows? Dallas drafts his son with like the 44th pick, or they buy some pick or whatever. They're like, we now have your son. It's like almost like it's like basketball Taken with Liam Neeson. We have your son. And
show up
like,
to
you
Dallas.
Have my son? And now all of a sudden he's playing in Dallas with Luka. Because I do think if he switches teams, and we've talked about this before in the pub, but if he switches teams, it has to be for a title and to play with his son, the combo. It has to be a contender and the chance to play with his son. That's the only way it makes sense. Otherwise, he stays here. But I don't think he's done. I mean, first of all, his shooting got better. And there was a good, Chris Herring wrote a good piece about why, like how he subtly changed some of his mechanics. So I think for the fact that his 3-point shot's better, I think he can go longer. But just the fact that they're in the conversation with the Nuggets and that line isn't like Nuggets minus 800, it's pretty impressive. And they do have, you could say, 2 of the 3 best players in the series. I would personally, for the playoffs, probably put Murray and Davis even, because playoff Jamal is incredible. And Davis, every game, you think he's just going to limp off at any point. But you could make a case they have 2 of the 3, but they have 2 all NBA players in the series. Denver has 1.
Yeah, playoff Jamal. I think, but 3, 4, and 5, I'd almost give to Denver. I think everybody's averaging 20 points. I think in the last 3 games they played, I think everyone's averaging 20 points. I think Michael Porter's averaging 20 points. I think KCP's averaging 20 points. Maybe KCP only played 1 game. But anyway, I think it's far more balanced than anybody thinks, even though we are always focusing on Jamal and Joker.
Well, there's one more storyline that you're going to make the Wild's face not want to comment on, but them catching Denver round 1 right after Michael Porter Jr.'s brother was involved in the biggest gambling scandal in 60 years. That's not nothing. The guy's his brother. There's no way that's not affecting him like 2%.
I took the opposite take on that. I think that's a fair question. Like, is that in his head, or is like, do you subscribe to the basketball is my escape? Once I'm in between the lines, I'm totally locked in here and there are no effects. I kind of subscribe to that, and not like I can't hit my open jump shots because my brother got banned from the league. But I could see if it goes south, that's going to be a storyline.
You mean when I hosted the first episode of the Grantland Basketball Hour, even though I was coming off a 3-week suspension, I didn't let it affect me. It was a good show.
You were locked in?
I was locked in.
In fact, you were better.
I felt like I was zoned in.